The cage was small enough that the girl inside could not straighten her back. Rust ate the bars, and a chain rattled when she shifted. Her face was shadowed, but her eyes, wide, dark, and unblinking, followed Asa Reed the moment he stepped into the livery. He stopped cold. The smell of hay and horse sweat mixed with something sourer, like sickness or fear that had lingered too long in one place. The girl was maybe 16, her black hair cut ragged, her bare feet raw. She did not speak, but her silence screamed louder than any cry. "Lord above," Asa muttered. He was a drifter, half a cowboy and half a mistake, a man who'd buried too many things along the trail. But never had he found a child penned up like an animal. He stepped closer, hand brushing the revolver at his hip more from habit than intent. "Who put you here?" The girl pressed her lips tight, eyes darting toward the back door. Behind Asa, boots thudded heavy. A voice spoke, smooth as polished coin. "Best step away from that cage, Mr. Reed." Asa turned. Banker Harlan Caldwell stood in the lantern glow, coat immaculate, silver watch chain gleaming. His face was pale, almost pleading, though his words carried authority. "That girl is not yours to free," Caldwell said. "She's diseased. Dangerous. You open that lock, you doom her, and yourself both." Asa frowned. "She don't look dangerous. She looks hungry." Caldwell's jaw worked. His polished shoes sank slightly in the straw as he stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I'm begging you, Reed. Leave her be. For your sake. For the town's sake." The girl's fingers curled through the bars. Her gaze locked on Asa, a silent plea that cut deeper than Caldwell's words. The banker's tone softened to a whisper. "You don't understand what hangs on this cage." Asa did not move. Dust motes spun in the lamplight. The girl's breath rattled like paper, and Caldwell's eyes glistened with a fear too carefully hidden for a man of his stature. The livery seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see whether Asa Reed would obey the richest man in town, or the silent eyes of the girl in the cage. Asa Reed did not move at first. His fingers twitched near the colt, but his eyes stayed on the girl. She clutched the bars harder, knuckles white against rust, lips parting like she wanted to speak and couldn't. Banker Caldwell dabbed his forehead with a folded kerchief. "You've no idea what you're tangling with. That cage isn't mine. It belongs to the committee. Men of this town, men you don't want against you." Asa's jaw tightened. "Funny. Looks like you got the only key on your watch chain." Caldwell's eyes flickered. His hand closed instinctively on the chain at his vest pocket, and Asa knew he'd hit the mark. The banker's voice cracked just a hair. "She came here owing debts. Passage from the coast, food, medicine, she hasn't paid. And law says..." "Law?" Asa barked a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "You got a law book says a girl can be penned like a hog?" The horses shifted uneasily, picking up the tension. Caldwell's face darkened. "You don't understand. She was brought by the railroad men. The sheriff signed the order. The preacher blessed it as God's will. I'm the one begged for her to be kept alive." His eyes darted to the girl, then back to Asa. "I don't want her blood on my hands. Or yours." Asa knelt near the cage, lowering his voice. "What's your name, darling?" The girl's lips trembled. At last, a whisper escaped. "Maylin." Her accent was soft, her words careful, but they carried more truth than all of Caldwell's smooth talk. Asa's gut clenched. He stood, brushing straw from his knee, and stared Caldwell down. "You said she owes a debt. but what I hear is you all owe her." The banker flinched, then gathered himself. He tried on a smile, but it sagged. "Reed, walk away. I'll buy you out of whatever hole you're in. Cash, land even. Just don't put your hand to that lock." Asa took a step closer. The ledger Caldwell clutched tighter against his chest did not escape notice. A leather book with brass corners, too heavy for casual carrying. Asa's voice dropped. "What's in that book, Harlan?" Caldwell froze. Mei Lin's eyes lit with a flicker of recognition. She pointed at the ledger, whispering something Asa couldn't catch. But Caldwell heard it. His face drained pale. He snapped the book shut, tucking it under his arm like a man shielding a child. "That ledger," Asa said, "is the real cage, ain't it?" Caldwell swallowed hard. The lantern flame hissed as if on cue. "If you open that lock, you'll not just free a girl. You'll unchain every ghost this town ever buried. And the men who buried them will come for you before the sun sets." The banker's voice broke on the last word, the plea in it too raw to fake. Outside, boots scraped gravel. Voices murmured low. Asa knew others were coming. Whether Caldwell had summoned them, or whether the committee had ears everywhere, it didn't matter. Mei Lin's fingers reached through the bars again. Asa's chest burned with the weight of choice. Behind him, the door creaked open. Sheriff Dunn's silhouette filled the frame, star glinting, hand resting easy on his revolver. "Well now," the sheriff drawled. "Looks like our drifter found something that don't belong to him." Sheriff Dunn's boots thudded slow across the livery floor. Each step measured like a judge crossing to the gallows. His star caught the lantern light, and his hand never strayed far from the butt of his Colt. "Afternoon, Reed," the sheriff said, voice too casual. "Heard you been poking around where you ain't invited." Asa's back stiffened, but he didn't step aside. "I was looking for a place to water my horse. Instead, I found a girl in a cage." Dunn's eyes flicked to Caldwell, who shifted nervously. "That true, Harlan?" Caldwell cleared his throat. "Sheriff, I tried to explain. She's here on debt. The committee—" "Don't need defending by your tongue." Dunn cut him off. His gaze landed on Asa again. "This town runs on order. Order keeps us fed, keeps the trains stopping, keeps men paid. That girl in the cage? She's part of that order. Paid for, signed off, blessed from the pulpit. You meddle, and you're meddling with all of it." Mei Lin pressed her face to the bars. Her whisper carried. "Please." Asa felt it knife through him. He looked at Dunn, then at Caldwell, clutching his ledger like a lifeline. "Funny," Asa said, voice low. "But seems to me order that needs a cage for a child ain't order worth keeping." The sheriff's eyes narrowed. "That ledger stays closed. That lock stays shut. You saddle up and ride on, Reed, and maybe you live to see another horizon." Something in Caldwell broke then. His voice cracked. "Asa, please. You don't know what's written in this book. Names, dates, payments. Every soul in this town is bound up in it. If she goes free, the whole thing burns. You'll have blood in the street." Asa's hand twitched near his revolver. Maybe blood's what it takes. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The horses stamped nervously. Dust drifted in the golden shaft of light from the door. Then Mei Lin whispered again, this time not "please," but a word Asa barely understood. "Key." She pointed, not at Caldwell, not at Dunn, but at the straw near the water trough. Asa's eyes followed. A glint of brass winked there, hidden, forgotten. Dunn noticed too. His hand dropped toward his Colt. "Don't," the sheriff warned. But Asa was already moving. He dove, rolled in the straw, snatched the key. Bullets cracked. The first tore splinters from the trough, the second whined past his ear. He hit the cage, jammed the key in the lock. Metal shrieked. The door flew open. Mei Lin stumbled out, weak but fierce, eyes blazing with sudden fire. She clutched Asa's sleeve and hissed one word that chilled him deeper than the gunfire still echoing. "Others." Caldwell staggered back, Ledger trembling in his arms. "God help us," he whispered. "She knows." Asa turned, heart hammering. "Others where?" But Mei Lin only pointed east, toward the rail yard, where shadows moved and the faint clink of chains drifted on the wind. The word others hung in the livery like a curse. Asa's gut twisted. The rail yard, of course. He had seen freight cars shuttered tight, padlocked even when empty. He thought it greed or caution. Now he knew better. Sheriff Dunn leveled his Colt. "Step away, Reed. Put her back in the cage." Mei Lin shrank behind Asa, her fingers clutching his sleeve. Caldwell's face glistened with sweat. "Sheriff," he stammered, "if she's free, if the ledger's opened, they'll know I failed." Dunn's eyes were cold iron. "You already failed, Harlan. Only question left is whether you hang with us or with him." Asa's hand hovered near his revolver, but he didn't draw. "You got chains on children, Sheriff." "How many?" Dunn's jaw worked, but he said nothing. Mei Lin tugged Asa's arm, whispering fast. Mandarin syllables mixed with broken English. Asa caught enough. 6, maybe 7. Train. Tomorrow. The weight of it hit him like a hammer. This girl wasn't alone. She was one of many. And tomorrow, the rest would vanish down the tracks like cattle. Gunfire outside shattered the thought. Windows broke. Straw flew. Asa shoved Mei Lin flat and rolled to cover. Voices barked orders. Committeemen had come. Caldwell dropped to his knees, clutching the ledger like it might shield him. "Please, Asa," he begged, voice high with panic. "Give me the book. Put the girl back. I can fix this. I can balance the accounts." Asa snarled. "You think this is numbers? These are lives." Smoke filled the livery as lanterns toppled. Dunn fired once more, grazing Asa's shoulder before bolting for the back door. The committee was closing in. Mei Lin clutched Asa's sleeve tighter. "We run," she whispered. But Caldwell, pale and trembling, reached out with a shaking hand. "If you go east to the yard, you'll face the whole committee. They'll kill you before you touch a lock." His eyes darted between Asa and the girl. "Let her go. Please. If you save her, the others will suffer worse. They'll make an example." Asa stared at him, fury boiling. "So you'd rather keep one cage to hide the rest?" The banker's voice cracked, his mask slipping at last. "You don't understand. I had a daughter. She died. I begged the committee not to bring these children here. They wouldn't listen. So I keep the books. I beg for mercy where I can. It's all I can do." For the first time, Asa saw not greed in Caldwell's eyes, but grief. The shouting outside grew louder. Men were coming through the front. Smoke rolled thicker, flames licking the beams. Mei Lin pulled Asa's sleeve, eyes fierce. "We go. Now." Asa grabbed her hand and kicked the side door open. Heat seared his face, but the alley was clear. They ran into the night, Caldwell's voice chasing them. "You don't know what you've started, Reed. The committee won't stop. They'll burn this town to ashes before they let you show those names." Asa didn't look back. He had Mei Lin's hand in his, the ledger tight under his arm, and the sound of chains from the rail yard ringing in his ears. The night wind carried smoke and the faint cry of other voices. thin, muffled, desperate. And Asa knew there was no turning back. The rail yard squatted at the edge of Dry Creek, rows of boxcars gleaming under lanterns hung by watchmen. Even at night, the place throbbed with industry. Steam hissed, couplings clanged, and horses stamped as men shouted orders. But Asa heard something else beneath the noise. Muffled cries, thin as wind through slats. Mei Lin gripped his arm, pointing. A line of cars sat on a side track, doors chained, padlocks glinting. The cries came from there. Asa's jaw set. He tucked the ledger under his coat, the weight of Caldwell's secret pressing against his ribs. That book held the town's rot, names, payments, trades. But the chains on those boxcars were proof enough. They crept closer through the shadows. Asa's shoulder still burned from Dunn's bullet, but adrenaline pushed him on. A guard leaned against a barrel, rifle loose in his hand, half asleep. Asa moved fast, striking him silent with the butt of his Colt, dragging him into the dark. The keyring jingled on the man's belt. Mei Lin snatched it, small hand steady. She hurried to the nearest lock and jammed a key home. The chain clattered loose. The door slid, and the smell hit them first. Sweat, iron, fear. Inside, wide eyes blinked at the sudden light. Children, boys and girls, their wrists raw from rope. "Shh," Asa whispered. "You're free now." The next door opened, then the next. With each clatter of chains, his rage deepened. Dozens, young faces, some hardly more than toddlers, all stolen, all silenced. Then a voice bellowed across the yard. "Stop right there!" Sheriff Dunn strode from the shadows, half a dozen committeemen at his back. Caldwell stumbled among them, ledgerless, face pale and wet with sweat. "Read," Dunn snarled. "You've gone and lit a fuse you can't put out." "Step away from them, kids." Asa pulled Mei Lin behind him. "You'll kill me either way, Sheriff." But these children walk free. Dunn leveled his Colt. "Last warning." And then Caldwell stepped forward, voice breaking. "Don't shoot." His hands shook as he pointed to Asa. "He has the ledger. If he dies, it dies with him. Every name, every number. You'll lose everything." The committeemen hesitated. Doubt flickered in their eyes. Asa seized it. He yanked the ledger from his coat and hurled it into the dirt between them. Pages fanned open, brass corners flashing. "Read it," he shouted. "Read what your leaders bought with your silence. Children in cages, water stolen, graves unmarked." A ripple went through the crowd. Men stepped closer, squinting at the names scrawled in Caldwell's precise hand. Murmurs rose, then curses. Some backed away from Dunn. Others turned on him outright. The sheriff's face twisted. He fired, but the shot went wide as one of his own men shoved him. Chaos erupted, guns drawn, fists thrown. Caldwell collapsed to his knees, sobbing. Asa didn't wait. He grabbed Mei Lin's hand, shouting for the freed children to follow. They poured from the boxcars like a river, scattering into the night as the committee tore itself apart. By dawn, Dry Creek was changed. The ledger had been carried into the courthouse, its pages read aloud to a crowd too large to silence. Dunn was gone, run off or buried in the night. Caldwell, broken, confessed it all. The town had no choice but to face what it had been. Asa stood on the edge of the square, Mei Lin at his side. She looked up at him, eyes no longer wide with fear, but bright with defiance. She whispered one word, steady and clear. "Free." Asa tipped his hat, heart heavy but fierce. Ain't no banker alive can buy that back. The fire guttered as bucket lines prevailed. Smoke cleared, leaving the ranch house scarred but standing. Jonah leaned against its wall, coughing, the ledger clutched to his chest. Eliza knelt beside him. Soot streaked on her cheek, eyes burning with something more than smoke. "You've done it," she said. "No," Jonah whispered, voice raw. "She did." His eyes lifted to the attic window, the jagged square where boards hung loose. For a moment, through smoke and twilight, he thought he saw a small figure there. A girl with a catalog page clutched in one hand. Her bare feet clean at last. Then the vision faded, leaving only the sound of wind through broken wood. The townsfolk turned to Jonah, demanding what came next. Trial, punishment, truth in daylight. He looked to Eliza, then back at the house. "We open every ledger. We follow every tube. No more salt circles to hide our shame." The people nodded, murmurs swelling into resolve. For the first time, Dry Creek seemed ready to bear its own weight. As night fell, Jonah stood on the porch of the Dollar House, the crowd dispersing, the guilty bound. The house no longer felt empty. It felt like a witness finally heard. He touched the beam scarred by June's loop, whispering, "You're free now." Behind him, Eliza's hand found his shoulder, steady as bedrock. Together they faced the darkened prairie, knowing dawn would bring reckoning.